Rise in Excellence. This is Jaja Majay with the Ren Pet Phenomenon, and today we're going to look at the first black sci-fi film called Son of Ingagi. Now, what's interesting about this film is that it has some dark beginnings, especially within the title. The film itself is pretty much, it's okay, found really no issue with the film, but except for the conks, as you can see in this still right here. That's the only issue I had, but the word Ingagi itself comes from another origin. Let's go. So here we have a poster for a film called Ingagi. Now, Ingagi preceded Son of Ingagi. And in fact, this whole genre of apes grabbing on women was pretty much the start of a bigger genre of apes grabbing women, like Mighty Joe Young and especially King Kong, which is the most famous of them all. And even down to Donkey Kong, who kidnapped Mario's girlfriend, Paulina, who really didn't give a shit about Mario anyway. But in any case, so here we have this poster, Ingagi. And if you read the poster, you're going to start to be like, what the fuck's going on? So at the top it says, wild women, gorillas, unbelievable. So that says a lot right there. And then it says, the most sensational picture film ever. And here's a picture of Ingagi, which is supposed to mean gorilla in African, but it doesn't really mean gorilla in any African language, at least from what I've researched. But anyway, so he's grabbing on her, especially got a real hold on that breast there, and as you can see, it is a Nubian woman he's grabbing on. So there were some reels that were made, I think in the 1920s or around that time period, and I'll post it up here somewhere. And these reels were about European people going into the darkest continent of Africa and finding savages and all sorts of crazy shit. And, it was also a way to undercurrently promote pornography. That's right, folks, pornography, because what else were you able to see bare-breasted women and it not really be an issue? I mean, unless there's some things I don't know about with the film industry, I think that this was the way that they pushed the way to see bare-chested women, because it was as what they call expedition, where we're searching, breasts, oh my goodness, well, film those native women in their native habitat. So apparently there was an issue with nakedness in the European culture at that time period, and not the same thing for people in the quote-unquote dark continent. So here's some other stills. Here we have another picture of a man in an ape suit grabbing on what looks like a Nubian woman, but that could just be a European dressed up like a Nubian woman. I'm unsure. It could be just a European woman in blackface. But in any case, here's another still of that. And, so what's interesting about this reel is that it's actually saying that barren Nubian women were given up by their tribe to gorillas to have sex with, which is just really disturbing. Here's a poster, one of the many posters for Son of Ingagi. And if you look at it, once again, there's that ape after the Nubian woman. But fortunately, in the movie, the ape or Son of Ingagi was a very pleasant and I wouldn't say pleasant, but very naive creature, and it wasn't really malicious at all, unless you fuck with the beast, as they say, the beast. So here's the poster title, Son of Ingagi, and here's what they have at the top: half man, half beast. All hell broke loose when the mad monster escaped. And then later on here it says what? With an all-starred, all-colored cast. So this was a time period where people of English language referred to Nubians as colored. And this was, quote unquote, our introduction into sci-fi, something maybe we should have never messed with because it has a lot of colonialism undercurrently riding through. So here we have the Ingagi reel, and they want you to know and make it clear that this is an authentic adventure film with unbelievable footage. And there goes Ingagi, the gorilla, and then the word itself, Ingagi, which is supposedly an African word for gorilla. However, I have not found any claim on the internet or any information stating that that was true at all. And basically, this is about a dude going into the deepest part of Africa at the risk of his own life and his cameraman, and he's exploring everything. He's looking for lions, tigers, and bears, and unruly, savage natives, and X, Y, and Z. You know, and here he is, Sir Hubert Winstead of the Winsteads, and makes his journey to the Belgian Congo and a whole bunch of other stuff. And you know, they're gonna really hype it up because that's what they did during that time period. But once again, keep in mind that there's some type of sexual undertone here between apes and women. And I think I mentioned earlier, I believe I mentioned earlier that this was a way for people to see boobies or breasts at that time period, you know, because it's an expedition, we're exploring, and oh my goodness, the women have no clothes on up in the upper part and they have their breasts out. Make sure you film that. And you know, I guess that's the idea, you know, so there's kind of a pornographic type of bestiality thing undercurrently in this reel. I mean, you know, that's what I feel. It's promoting, once again, this film, an amazing record of authentic African adventure. So this thing really happened, like the first moon landing. And it's supposed to be a film of 1,000 wonders, and the list goes on, but apparently not to the African Americans or Nubians at that time period, because it was not showing them in the best of light at all. So without the risk of being harmful to your eyes, I will not show other parts of the reel because it's just disrespectful. So it's a mark of merit, so you know it's good. So here we have Son of Ingagi, the first ever black sci-fi film ever. Not that that makes a big, makes a difference, because we were allowed to be in the film industry and acting out situations that had nothing to do with us. So it was a great accomplishment by that standard. And you have the quote-unquote ape there looking malicious and, you know, very, very evil. You know, he's looking over the city. I'm going to kill everything, and I'm going to, you know, the imagery suggests something opposite of the movie, which, you know, still plays out today. So let's get into it. And of course, we start out with the cross and, you know, a nice religious ceremony of two young Nubians in wedlock based on European culture. Y'all gotta excuse me, I just gotta say the way it is. And, you know, we have our first introduction to a nice fresh conch right there. And, you know, but a beautiful, beautiful couple. And, you know, Nubians at that time period was tickled. You know, they were like, this, you know, look, you know, all of us are on the film. It's just us, you know, it inspired pride at that time period. But in retrospective, you got to really, you know, do the science to this. So those are a couple of the players there. Here we have a scientist. She is involved with the couple. I think she's a relative or something, but she just has a bad rep in the neighborhood. Now, she has sheltered Nguina in the basement. Now, either she found Nguina there or she brought Nguina back from Africa, one of the two. Now, Nguina is the son of Ingagi, which basically is the offspring of a Nubian woman and a gorilla. You can't forget that part, because that's just there undercurrently. It's a beautiful woman right there. So, you know, I mean, the film is pretty good. I mean, I found it to be a bit pleasant. As I said before, it's just the conchs couldn't really do. So here's the scientist with Nguina, and it's part man, part ape, and for the most part, it doesn't look so much like a villain like the opening credits would suggest. The imagery of the open credits, she's actually able to communicate with him or her in a civil manner. She's treating a wound. Everything's pretty cool here. There's no real maliciousness. The maliciousness comes in with other people who are trying to get, I think they're trying to get the house or something. There's something within the house. Either there's hidden money or something there. And those are the actual villains, not this guy here. And you can see he's very docile, innocent, probably a bit autistic because, when you mix genes of two different species like that, you may not get a good result. And here she goes with a beaker, and who the hell knows what she's mixing there? She's about to give it to him, and he's just having a good old time with that Band-Aid. He's like, I like that, I taste it. And it's just, Band-Aid, nummy. I'm not. It's just clean fun. Except that he is the son of a Nubian woman and ape. Which, he's just doing all that. Anything that a child would do. And she's just trying to figure out something over here. But and here's I think he's a policeman, and he's just there trying to make sure everything is right. He's watching over the couple, he's investigating some stuff, and apparently he loves sandwiches. He's like bra man from the fall fifth floor. And he got that sandwich right there, and he makes that sandwich, and he has no real, way to make a sandwich. He just knows to go in the refrigerator and slap stuff on the bread. And here comes Nguina, and Nguina's like, damn, that's a nice smelling sandwich you got there. And Nguina's chill. He's not trying to really do anything to do. He just wants that sandwich. That's his thing right now. So he's just gonna, go around him, and the guy's putting all sorts of Tabasco sauce up on there. And I don't know. This guy's a terrible policeman because he don't, he doesn't sense anything. There's no third sense of anything. And here goes Nguina. It's like, damn, he left the sandwich. And I love sandwiches better than that Band-Aid early on. Good. Okay, so here goes the villain, and he bumps into Nguina and he just lets these shots out. And look how he shoots that gun. It's like, and he shoots him dead in the head. I guess he skimmed his head because, Nguina's got a tough ass skull or something. Anyway, and then he literally trying to throw the bullets out of the gun. And it's just so cliche for that time. And look, it's like he's throwing the bullets out the gun, not squeezing it with the trigger. It's really weird. And he hits Nguina's hand. He's like, you hurt my hand and head, and this stuff is coming out. And he's just like puzzled. He's like, damn, I put like 2 shots in this dude. And he still pops shit. And he backs up into the wall. And Nguina's like, damn, you're making me mad. I just wanted another sandwich, and you got me with this filled with bullets. And he shoots him in the groin, the leg, all sorts of stuff that is just... And he throws the gun, misses him. And now he's trying to get past Nguina, and Nguina's like, no. Oh, only a face a mother could love. And kind of chokes him out. So Nguina grabs the young bride and takes her downstairs to his purple mattress, which is much more comfortable than the crap she was laying on earlier. Because what she had didn't pass the egg test. So then you have the policeman who was sleeping on the job, and he's like, oh, well, who's this? And that's the dude that just got choked out, and he's like, help police, and he's a policeman, and just a whole bunch of crap. And he's like, where's my wife? She's not on her bed. And you see he wears his pants on his waist, you know, not down below. And, you know, you thought that Agrina was about to be up to some terrible stuff, but basically what he was trying to do was get this young lady to dress his wound, because he remembered the other woman, the scientist, dressed his wound when he was hurt. So that was the purpose of him grabbing the young lady, and he looks through some stuff, and he's like, I'll just take this, and I don't like that. And then, you know, callously he sets fire to the place, and well, he doesn't mind because he's trying to get his wound addressed here. And he's like, young lady, can you address my wound? Or wake her up. And this guy's on the phone to the police, and a whole bunch of other stuff happens in an instant because, you know, this is back in the... So these guys upstairs, they hear some screaming. They don't notice the house is on fire until they see the smoke. And they're like, oh my goodness. The guy pulls out his gun because apparently if you shoot fire with a gun, it puts it out. And, you know, here's the classic break through the door thing. Doesn't work the first time because you got to do it 2 more times. And then on the third go, boom. Oh, well, shoot, you need more than 3. Get out of the 4, boom. And it's through the door, goes downstairs. This guy still got his gun out, shooting at the fire. And he goes downstairs and he, you know, sees his bride around the fire. He's like, baby, what's wrong? And who is this dude over here? And he's still trying to tackle the smoke. I don't know what he's doing. And the greener's like, at this point, I just want to leave. You know, and he's just confused now. He got about 3 slugs in him. This guy wants to come downstairs and put handcuffs on him. And he's like, oh, get out of here. And, you know, he trips and falls. The man's like, Olay, and locks him up. And now Agrina, who was basically innocent, is going to get burned up in the cage, which, you know, is kind of unfair to him. And we're at the very end now, and everything is cool. They escape. Agrina's getting burned. I don't know what happened to the scientists. I forgot. Well, they're watching the blaze now, and, you know, he takes off his hat to show his fresh conch. But it's beautiful to see all Nubian people gathered in a film like this, or just a film period. Or maybe we should just stop accepting being in the, you know, just... And here goes the bumbling policeman, and he's kind of happy because in his hand he has 2 bags filled with money or gold or something that he's going to give to the young couple, and which makes this movie a happy ending. Not for Agrina, and I think something happened to the scientist, so definitely not for her, and not for the dirty dude that was trying to rob them, but for this beautiful young couple here. And they pull out, and he's just happy, and everybody's smiling, and they could rebuild their house and continue their life. So, you know, I mean, it turned out well, except for the fact that the mark of merit, except for the fact that the title is tied up and pure racism. So there you have it, Son of Ingagi, the first black sci-fi film with a dark past of racism. And don't forget, Afrofuturism is the cure for sci-fi, and you can find this at WeBuyBlack.com under the name The Renpet Phenom, or... So there you have it, Son of Ingagi, the first black sci-fi film with a dark past of racism. And so there you have it, Son of Ingagi, the first black sci-fi film that has a kind of dark past of racism. But before I forget, which I never forget, Afrofuturism is the cure for sci-fi, and you can find this at, show my chest, WeBuyBlack.com under the name The Renpet Phenomenon, or Th3RP, Rise in Excellence.